So what we've got is the pH is this one with a little rubber boot on, dissolved oxygen, and your turbidity and EC, so yeah, salinity probe. Connects very conveniently to here.
Feel free to stand if you can't see very well.
So there's an on button, a little light to give a backlight. Yeah, as soon as it turns on. So backlight, so you can see it very well. It'll automatically recognize everything when it's connected. So if it says, yeah, not connected, then you know you've got to try and fiddle with this a little bit. But it should say everything like the probe number, connected 1, 2, 3. And then it's going to be as easy as clicking on measure and log, and then select. And then that's how you take a measurement. It'll measure everything at once. Then before you do that though, you've got to set it up, which is the calibration side. There's a pH 4, 7, and 10 to calibrate the pH probe. There's a 0 oxygen solution to calibrate the dissolved oxygen probe. There's a 1413 microsiemen to calibrate the salinity EC probe. There's cleaning solution. So after every time you've used it, got to clean it. Yeah, so at the end of the day, after you finish using it.
Not after every measurement.
Not after every measurement. You can just keep throwing it into different spots in the lake, but at the end of the day, just get a cleaning solution and clean the probes. And then we've got storage solution, which is the stuff that goes just in here. So some storage solution into here at the end of the day after it's cleaned. Then you just put it back over the pH probe carefully, and then that'll store it for the next week or month in between using it. Every month or so, just stop by, take it off, put a few more drops of your storage solution in, and just put it back on. So what you can do is when you're setting it up in the shed, you can just do all the calibration first, and then there's a thing called a quick cal, which is like a 1-point calibration. So instead of a 3-point calibration, it'll just measures your pH and EC, and you just calibrate it once every couple of hours when you're in the field. So this is called the sonde, where the probes will be put into these three. This is the weighted part, so that protects everything. There's a little calibration beaker. So there's a user manual here which tells you how everything's done. So out of all of them, the pH probe itself is the one that needs to be looked after the most. If you don't look after it and don't store it properly, then somebody has to buy a new one and replace it, which is expensive. So yeah, there's a USB download cable in here. There's some spare caps for your dissolved oxygen probe. There's little rubber O-rings that are installed because water does not want to get inside the sonde, otherwise it gets damaged, and then you've got to, if it does, it'll tell you there's a few settings in there which you notice there'll be water in this one. So you have to take them out, hang this up, let it dry for a week, and then So try not to take them out. There's some little silicone grease. So all you do is a little bit of silicone grease on the thread around here. Find the right one. So there's one for your pH, 2 for the EC and dissolved oxygen, and 3 for the EC and turbidity.
Yeah.
And then it only goes in one way. Sorry, it only clicks in one way. Eventually, there we go. And you can just screw that in. If you've done it wrong and you try to install it wrong, then you can end up pulling out all the insides of your probe, and it's very bad. And you will need to get into it. So there'll be a little Allen key, and you can just tighten this. So that was the pH. So dissolved oxygen needs some more. So every month, again, this cap at the bottom will need to come off. There's a very useful tool in here which then connects on that and can unscrew the dissolved oxygen cap. There's a little O-ring in here. Which just goes in there. So every month, this will have to get taken off. A little bit of the electrolyte solution, which is in this little tiny one, gets put in here. So a few drops. So this is where it gets slightly messy. So what happens is there's usually some little air bubbles in the bottom. So you just have to tap that one down. Make sure the O-ring's set properly. And you just screw that on. And a little bit of the electrolyte solution comes out the top, which is fine. And in the bottom, there should be no little white air bubbles in it. So if we have a look at this one, you can see there's a air bubble ring around it. So it needs some electrolyte solution. So one, you'll notice an air bubble around it. That means it needs some electrolyte solution. If there's no air bubble because you've just done it, that's fine.
That one's got air in it.
Yep.
That one doesn't.
I've had a quick
This
look at
one
the
doesn't.
manual.
Yeah. No, the air bubble is very bad. Just means yeah, it won't measure the oxygen in your water very quickly.
So there's a couple of things to do every month.
Every month there is, yes.
Yep.
So this was the EC, so your salinity and turbidity probe. And that one just, same thing.
Zero by ring around the end. Like a white-eyed bird.
So that pH probe is both a pH and ORP probe.
Okay.
So it does both things at once. There's a little groove in here, so I'm just trying to line everything up so nothing gets snapped. So there's a little Allen key here, so then you can just tighten everything up gently. So I've got some nice photos of some of my other customers which have very gently damaged them and pulled out the insides and so Karen won't be happy if you do that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how to connect them up. The cable just gets plugged into the bottom, turned on, and then everything shows up in here that it's connected. So if you've got it not connected, everything should say probe status is disconnected, no parameters detected. And then as soon as you plug it in, it'll recognize everything's there. And then if one of the parameters is not connected, so if your pH or DO or EC turbidity is not connected, it'll tell you here. And that usually means there's some water inside there and it's shorted out somewhere. So if something says not connected, then you know there's a problem.
Then there's troubleshooting section in the manual.
Yeah,
isn't
there is, yes.
Yeah.
That's it, then it's time to calibrate the meter. So pH 4 is your,
You said that's weaker than orange juice?
not even orange.
Not even
Yeah.
orange juice.
So you just pour enough, because what we've got to do is get the pH probe to be under the water. Escape. So under measure, there should be a menu button and then a parameter setup or a calibration. So just go to calibration, select that. There's two different types of calibration. One's a quick calibration, which is this quick. Just grab that, something here. And then you screw that onto there.
And this is okay if you're using it how regular?
If you're using it every day, just do this one.
Yeah.
So the quick calibration is make sure the pH probe is underneath, press the quick cal, and then it'll measure the pH, the conductivity, and dissolved oxygen.
Is it as accurate as using it individual?
Yes. So it's, I mean, this is a 1-point calibration, whereas this other one you're doing a 3-point calibration. When you're in the lab or in an office, you can do the 3-point calibration, and then when you're out in the field and you're just doing measurements for a day, you can just use a quick calibration just to make sure everything's accurate. Okay, so and then what you do is you empty the beaker, and then so that measures pH and conductivity, and then you got to empty the beaker, dry the dissolved oxygen probe by gently drying the dissolved oxygen probe or shaking it on the floor when you're in the, and then you can, making sure dissolved oxygen probe doesn't get wet, you can put it back in like that and do it. And then it measures your dissolved oxygen. So
well, it's not in the solution.
It's not in the solution. So that's like 100% dissolved oxygen. Whereas using this one, you can get your 0%. Confirm storage, okay. So that's a quick calibration. And then what we've got to do here for 7 and 10 is there's an option for single parameter calibration. So then you can calibrate your pH, your ORP, dissolved oxygen, your conductivity, turbidity, everything individually, which takes a little bit of time. So we'll start with the pH. So calibrate pH. So now it's asking for a pH 7 buffer. So this is calibrating pH 7, and it's 6.94, 6.95, because it hasn't been calibrated for a while. So now it's saying pH 4. So you've just got to shake it off a bit, then put it into the pH 4. And it slowly changes, and then
So you just read the prompts on the screen.
yeah, so it tells you exactly what to do on the screen. And our meters always calibrate pH 7, then 4, then 10.
Why 7 then 4?
Because 7 is like a 0 millivolts,
Okay.
and then 4 will be like minus a couple hundred millivolts, and then
7's
pH
the balance, isn't
is a
it?
0, it's like a 0. So now it's pH 10. Clean it so you'll have that screwed on, wave it around for a while, and that'll clean off some of the algae and stuff on the probes.
Yeah.
And then you take your little rubber boot, and then you just gently
pH 1 only.
put it over the pH 1 by itself, and then it will.
Yeah.
And that's how you store it for the next month.
Oh, you store it with that on.
Yeah, store it like that. You can put this on to protect it.
So the storage solution only goes on the pH one?
Yes, just the pH. And then you can turn off the meter. That goes there. You can unscrew this if you want. And that goes there. You can just roll up the cable nice and neatly.
Like that.
This one, which is your calibration beaker, goes in there. Yeah. And then everything else just goes in your shed. We've just calibrated it, so we can turn it on and get the.
Do you have to turn it on before you
it doesn't matter which way. So either plug it in, so it just says no sensor, but then as soon as you plug it in, it'll have everything there. What we can do now is you can either calibrate it with a quick cal, or we can just throw it in the water, like what we're doing. So measure, actually we'll just go to escape. So we can go to parameter setup. So we've got pH, ORP, dissolved oxygen, salinity, so heat, oxygen reduction potential, TDS for your turbidity, and temperature. So when we take it off, we can just take the little booty off, put it somewhere because you can use that storage solution.
Yep. Okay.
Everything should be fine. So this is where you can use a quick count to calibrate it. Screw this back on to protect the probes, and then you've got a handle
The one in.
of that. So now it's
Also, got a line at the side, that's all right.
Yeah. So now, as long as it's underwater. So now you
The
can
whole
then,
black bit needs to be underwater.
yeah,
whole
as
black
much as you can. Yeah.
probe. That's a better word, yeah.
It will here.
Yeah.
So now we can go pH. So we can just press the measure button, and then you can see pH of 8.18. So it will slowly change over a few minutes.
Yeah.
So it's best just to leave it in there to let it settle for a few minutes. Then you can just press the log button to make it recording. One sample, select that, and just press one sample. And that's taking a measurement.